Have you ever tried to just start a presentation, and it could be live or it can be recorded, but more importantly, let's just say that it's live and you kind of forget what you were supposed to say?
What?
What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of?
Trust me, I've been there and I've tried it so many times. Now, the thing here that you don't want to do is just go blank and just stare at the air like nothing happened and nothing is going to happen. And I have a background story about this that some years ago, I think it's about 7, maybe even 8 years ago, I was just getting into the world of whiskey. And the thing is that back then I studied more the American whiskey than I did like the Scottish whiskey and the Irish for that matter. And the theme was world of whiskey. So I actually spoke to someone who had lived in England and had been working a lot with, I was going to say Irish, but of course Scottish whiskey. And the thing with Scottish whiskey, if you don't know, is that the thing of about tasting, like tasting profiles and also specificity of like certain areas is way more technical than in other countries. It's so technical compared to other, even though it's just whiskey, but there are so much culture and so much history specifically for each area. So it's way more complex to, I would say not drink it, but more complex to understand the whole essence of Scottish whiskey, because it just has so many more layers of knowledge that you need to obtain to really master. And it's due to that fact that they're all very popular. If you take, and now I'm getting into out of the topic here, but if you go to Americans, they have maybe more styles, but there are only 2 main styles. Now, that was a side story. The point is, I asked a coworker to help me with the presentation of the world of whiskeys. I covered everything except Scottish whiskey, and he was supposed to do a presentation on Scottish whiskey. I started doing my part, and then he's supposed to go on with Scottish whiskey. And I'm standing next to him, and he says, yeah, so about Scottish whiskey, and then blank. Oh. Nothing. And silence for some time. And what I remember is that I was like, okay, this is like, or it became just too much. Like the time that you were waiting for something to happen. Well, what's happening is that everybody, like that moment of tension was growing and growing and growing. And the more the time passes, the more like pale my coworker is getting. So I decided to just talk. And I just really, at that time, I oversimplified because I didn't prepare for Scottish whiskey or anything in that with that profile. So I just had to come up with some things and just slide through it really quickly and then to something I knew.
You're wrong, and whenever you're wrong, you just spout gibberish.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I mean. You don't know what calamari.
The point here is that even though you go blank, sometimes it's just about getting into that zone again. And you know, the most important thing is to acknowledge it. Don't let that moment get more and more tense, because the more tense it gets, the worse it is for you and for your audience, because it just became painful for them to watch it. So it's better if you go blank. It's better to crack a joke or to say, I'm sorry, I knew what I had to say, I forgot, so I'm gonna tell a story. And then once you start telling a story that you know very well, and it can be anything, but hopefully something that is slightly related to the topic that you're talking about, well, after you do that, you will automatically, well, first of all, you relax, which is the key, because a lot of times the reason that we blank out is because we're too tense. And if we just relax, we'll get into the flow again. So it's all about just trying to get in mentally back in the game. Because if you lost the ball while you're doing a presentation, it doesn't matter. You can always pick it up again. But if you're standing and the ball's rolling away from you, it's kind of difficult to catch the ball.
Oh, I love it. Great stuff.
So what you want to do here, of course, like I said, is just make sure that if you lost your mind, or not in your mind, but you lost ideas that you were in your head, just say, okay, it's okay. It happens. It actually happens to everyone. It happens to me, but I always keep in mind that it's more important to make sure that people don't lose interest. And even cracking a joke when you do actually lose this focus, it's way better than just staying blank. So next time, if you're in a situation where you really forgot what to say, just relax. It happens to everyone. And just tell a story about something that's related, hopefully, or something that kind of makes you relax. So make sure, maybe even prepare a story or two that you can bring up if this happens to you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.